Okay, so I hope we're live now. Welcome, everyone. So we're starting another monthly call, update call for the community, just to keep you informed what we're doing and what have we done so far in actually now last couple of months within Jakarta working group. Last month, just a reminder, we didn't have our call just because we had the Jakarta one live stream CN4J. So I do hope you had a chance to attend that. If you haven't, as you know, we do have the recordings available, so please check it out. So without further delay, let me just share my screen here if I can. And for some reason, it's not giving me the ability to share my screen. So Shabnam, do you have a ability to share the screen just to bring the agenda? And
Yes.
I'll check what's going on my side.
Let me see if I can get the slides. Just give me a second. If Ivar, you have that ready, that'll be helpful. I'm just searching for the slides. Let me see.
Okay, let me just okay. There you go. So anyways, before everyone starts sharing their screen, I can start reading. So today we have Scott Marlowe. Yes, if you can share, that would be fantastic. Can you? It's tricking me on my end. Okay, fantastic. And I will maximize that so people can actually read it. So today we have Scott Marlowe and Cesar Hernandez talking about the TCK work and of course seeking out for help from the community. Then we'll have update from Kevin Sutter on where we're at on Jakarta E9 release. And then we will have Neil Patterson, who is leading our Jakarta marketing committee with the request for community to help us out and seek for tool support for Jakarta E9 and why Jakarta E9 is a perfect release for that. And then we'll do a quick update. So Ivar as a developer advocate, Shabnam as our marketing lead, and me as as your, I guess, program manager, and on what we're doing, news, events, programs, and some of the marketing. And then we'll jump right into topics and questions from the community. We had quite a list from Amelia, and others are welcome to jump in whenever you have a question. So without any further delays, let me invite Scott and Cesar on the screen. I apologize. So I'll drop Ivar off and I'll invite you back a little bit later. But let me just find Scott, you're invited, and then Cesar, you're invited as well. Shabnam, I'll drop you off the list again. See you in a bit. Hey, Scott, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Good to see you here. So let's see if Cesar, Cesar is on his way as well. But if you wanted to get going, please feel free. So let me, did you plan to share your screen or something?
Yep. Oh,
Okay.
Cesar is accepted, but wasn't allowed in.
Okay, I'll re-invite you, Cesar.
We both have the the slides. Let me post a link as well. Let's see.
Yeah, that would be great because we're kind of. Oh, I'm sharing my screen, Ivar says. Oh, that's weird. So I will at some point drop off and then join in again. Hey, Cesar, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Yes, I cannot share my screen. I got a message that there are already four simultaneous video sources. So I think if you
and
can
I
stop
don't
sharing.
Yes, let me try to do
okay,
that.
I'm gonna try now. Let me go. Now I'm seeing again your screen.
You're seeing my screen again?
Eclipse Foundation screen. Yeah.
Eclipse Foundation screen. Focus screen. Let me try this.
Still, I get the stream is limited to 4 simultaneous video sources. Okay. I think on the I think it's not the screen. Maybe it's the actual the Eclipse Foundation account. Maybe can turn off the webcam. That will allow have one more screenshot.
Does this help in any way?
Still, I got the message that only 4 sources of video can be.
Okay, so you, Scott, continue. I'm not sure what is going on. I will try to drop out, and that should not impact your session at all. So you continue, and I will try to he's getting the same message I got. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna try to share now. Okay, I can share now. Let me just. Oops, sorry. Let me confirm if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen now? No?
I don't see it yet. I just see my video I will put on my screen. Oh, I see you now. I don't see your screen, but I do see you.
Okay. Let me try to share again.
Okay, on my end, it's showing now. It should be better. Does anyone still see my screen?
No.
I do not see your screen.
Okay. And then if you hover over your picture, there there is screen coming up. Okay, fantastic.
I think yeah.
Oh my goodness, what a challenge.
Okay.
Apologies, everyone.
Okay. Okay, so thank you, Tanya, Tanya, hi Scott. So we are going to start with the update on the TCK work. So Scott, you can present yourself, and we can.
Sure. Hello, I'm Scott Marlowe from the platform TCK team, and we've been working quite heavily on the conversion to Jakarta EE9, and we have a number of things to talk to you about today. But that's my quick what I've been doing recently.
Perfect. Yeah. So my name is Cesar Hernandez. I work for Tommy Tribe, and also I'm participating in this and many other projects, as I mentioned. The content that we have for today is a little bit of background about what the TCK is all about, some facts about the TCK. We collect in the mailing list some TCK questions, and we are going to provide answers to them. Feel free to use the Chromecast platform. You have two options: the general chat on the right side, and next to it on the left side, you have the Q&A. So that is being moderated by the Eclipse Foundation staff. And then we have also opportunities to contribute. Yeah, let's jump into the background. Thank you much for all the attendees right now that we have. A little bit of background, and when we were discussing this with the Scott and the community, it was useful to present a little bit of the why and how we get here with the TCK. So a common question that we got when we spoke with either community, customer, and so on is how Jakarta IE is made of at this point. So it's still being code artifacts, APIs that normally developers interact on a daily basis. But all that is just the tip of the iceberg, because you have a foundation of the specification that provide the basis for the implementations to develop the code, and also the TCK, which is basically the test that you apply for those implementations, reference implementation that actually complies with the specification documents. So this is kind of the three main stakeholders that we can have when we're talking about how Jakarta IE is made of. Okay, some facts of the TCK. So you can go over that slide.
So the TCK are the technology compatibility kits for testing that a Jakarta IE server implementation is compatible. Ooh, you have the old slide. That's okay. It's my typo. We try to say that we're testing for compliance. We're testing for compatibility now, not compliance, more so. But just terminology is important that we all get used to using. But anyways, I think the TCK, the platform TCK project may be the largest, one of the largest projects we have around, at 5 million lines of test source that's made up of Java tests, Ant scripting, and what have you. And I didn't realize it was quite that large until we actually measured a few days ago for this presentation. So I think it's got to be the biggest one. An interesting thing to note, there are some restrictions on what TCK test can depend on, and we only can depend on the testable aspects of the specifications. Anything that is not part of the spec that is in a test is subject to change. If there's some, like if we need to change one of the tests that use a particular Java runtime, and we need to not use that because it's causing failures in an unexpected way, it's possible that those tests could be changed. However, the specification elements that we're verifying are not subject to change. You can't request those to change. They are hard and fast. It's interesting to know that for many years, the TCKs have tested the various API signatures against subsetting, supersetting. You can't add methods, you can't remove methods, and at least historically that has been the case. Jakarta can change that, and we're talking about improving the signature test at some point. But that's kind of where we're at, and it's also there's also a lot of Ant scripting that controls the TCK testing. And we use the Java test harness tool, which isn't as well known as, say, JUnit, but it's been used for many years for various TCKs at originally at Sun and Oracle, and now like OpenJDK and other Java implementations and the TCK. And I think we can go on. Next slide.
Okay. Yes. In terms of TCK questions and answers. Okay, so the first thing that someone can find on the mailing list and also on blog posts and videos is what's going on lately, is how the TCK is related. TCK is related with the naming migration. So as you may know, you may all know, for Jakarta EE9, we have the big bang approach for migrating the JAVAX namespace into the Jakarta namespace. So right now, one of the work that has been done on the TCK is actually this migration from the TCK point of view, to be able to compile and therefore then run the TCK against the implementations. Also, one simple example is the one that you're seeing on your screen. Just a simple naming convention, you may say it, but actually it has been spread across many pull requests in the GitHub project. All the links that we are talking here are at the end of the slides. Scott already provided the link on the chat, so you can find there. Basically, this is just one of the many tasks that later you're going to see in this roadmap that we have in terms for the TCK to be complete and enable the Jakarta EE test compatibility. Scott, can you go over the platform TCK versus standalone? Because this is kind of related with many questions also that we got on the mailing list about the profiles and all that.
Yes, the standalone TCK. Well, terminology is key, so it's good to know what these terms are referring to. The standalone TCKs are really the individual specifications tests that verify that the API signatures are correct for that specification, and the implementation pass the whatever functionality tests are in the TCK, and so the standalone TCKs map to the individual specifications. The platform TCK used to be referred to as the CTS, but now we refer to it as the platform TCK. It tests an entire EE implementation for compliance by testing all the various containers and with all of the different specifications, or at least most of them. So it's a more platform or server level test as opposed to the individual specification level. That's it in a nutshell, the major difference there.
Thank you. We also have the difference between when you say Jakarta EE web profile versus the full platform profile. So the TCK can be divided in these two, obviously, because one is the subset, as I prefer to call it. The web profile is a subset from the full platform. So in terms of goals or steps, first we can say the project has been working towards the standalone TCKs to slowly transition then into the web profile TCK and eventually have the full platform TCK. So it can be divided in different stages, if you wanted to call it. So whatever you see on the mailing list that we are referring about platform, full platform TCK to web profile, we're talking just of the subset of tests and how they are categorized inside of the project. So yeah, and then we have the Archilium. So Scott is gonna explain us this common question also.
I added a few slides for Archilium, and then I deleted them. And decided, okay, let's just try and scope this, reduce the scope of this. But there are a lot of ideas about what Achillean, or using Achillean in the TCK, what that could mean. And the one idea, a lot of these ideas have been discussed on the TCK mailing list, and there's been some prototyping, but nothing has really been accepted as as going to happen. But we will continue to discuss it. But I wanted to put the idea out there, because if we do bring the Achillean technology into the TCK, I think that'll be a area that will be wildly worked on by many in the community, because, like I said before, there's 5 million lines of code in the TCK, so we're going to need a lot of help if we do get engaged in that effort. So some ideas of what Achillean test, which is like a server container test framework, which lets you, like using what they call shrink wrap, lets you do EE, wrap a test that uses EE components together easily, and deploy that against many different EE server implementations. If we brought it into the platform TCK, one advantage of that is with a shared configuration, with a shared platform configuration, we might be able to get more testing in the what we call standalone TCKs, and that in the long run we could end up with a lot of separate standalone or smaller platform TCKs. And it's not a given that we would do that, but it would be a possibility to refactor some of the platform TCK. One of the things that I do worry about is what happens when we get to whether it's EE 10, 11, or 12. I worry about our ability to quickly bring in new test capabilities, and that was one of the things I was thinking about bringing Achillean in, that might give us greater ability to quickly adapt to new technology that we might bring in the future. A very important part of this is whether we do the Achillean support in the platform TCK, or if we were to do it in the standalone TCKs, regardless of where it goes, we always need to validate that we haven't reduced the platform testing. It needs to be equivalent, because we don't want to have a less compatible EE implementation in the future. So for that reason, we take very serious that we validate a lot that we do when we do work on the TCK. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well, so people have that in mind for the conversation.
Hey, Scott
Yep.
and Cesar, just a quick time check, and also a question. So we can probably give you another just a few minutes, but there is a question, and I kind of want to, it's maybe related to this page. Is the JAX RS piece of the platform TCK a superset of the JAX RS standalone TCK?
So the JAX RS standalone TCK source is in the platform TCK. So yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I think there may have been. I'll have to verify that, and after I'm done talking, I'll go. I think there were some changes to being looked at to bring in Archillion into the JAX-RS TCK, and I don't think those got off the ground, but yeah. So yeah, that's still the case. But that was actually, I think that was the first standalone TCK that wanted to bring Archillion in, and also wanted to bring Maven in as well to the platform TCK, and split up the platform TCK into separate TCK. So that was where that idea came from, was actually the JAX-RS. But yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
And let's see.
Thanks. So we will follow up more on this question. And thanks, Ron, for asking the question. So just kind of, again, if you want to, oh, yeah, we're on the page too. Okay.
Yeah,
Take it over.
I know we are running out of time. I get that's also part of what we need to be aware, right, Tanya? To have a space for the rest of the panel. So, yeah. So briefly speaking, Scott, can you just tell us here to see the overall of this slide so we can pass to the contribute opportunities?
Yep. So very quickly, a lot of a lot of the slide is really, we're removing technologies from EE9, and we've removed such tests from the TCK, and we need to do some validation that anything that is optional now is still optional, and et cetera, et cetera. But this is a very important slide. But yeah, I think that's a summary of what's going on there.
Thank you, Scott. We also have, in terms of opportunities to have to contribute, well, this is the 3 simple steps which how you can start as a contributor actively to this and many other Jakarta specifications. Create an Eclipse account, sign the Eclipse contribution agreement, and these are the 2 mailing lists that you can pay attention to TCK related conversations. So we really hope to see you, many of you, around those mailing lists. We have also TCK work in progress. This is in the repo that you're going to see in the next slide with all the links, where we are keeping track of what has been done already. Some of the work that we mentioned is tracked here. In terms of possible areas for contribution, we have plenty, right, Scott? We have documentation. We have looking at the GitHub issues. And again, the platform TCK, I think, is the best entry point where you can say, hi, how can I help and contribute, right, Scott?
Yep, that's right. And
yes, we also have, we made this compound of links where you can find many information related with the Jakarta platform TCK, the work that has been done, the pull requests that are also there waiting for you to chime in and check, review, help, contribute, and document. We also have the Jakarta E9 release plan. I think we are going to have also an update from Kevin about that. And that's pretty much what we have. We start a little bit late, so we are kind of rushing a little bit. But I don't know, if Scott, if you have any other thought to share with the community to engage them to join us and work on the TCK fund also for the Jakarta E9.
No, I'd just like to end with, we hope to see you in the platform TCK mailing list. Please join or follow the mailing list so you can watch conversations and join in and share your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for listening.
Thanks both.
I cannot hear you, Tanya. I don't know if we... Can you hear me? Okay, Scott, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, we lost Tanya.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna paste again the link for the slides, and feel free to follow any questions on the mailing list. And let's see who is next. Let me just share my screen here. Okay, Kevin.
I think Kevin's next.
Okay. Let me find the button here to stop sharing. Okay. Okay, can someone send the invite to Tanya? That's Kevin. Okay, Kevin I don't have the grants to invite Kevin. I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Okay, before you stop sharing, Kevin, do you want us to show your slides while you talk? Oh no, you have to be invited to talk. Oh, okay, it's being taken care of. Yeah, we're good.
Thank you, Bar. TCK presentation link. Okay. So while that happens, personal speaking, I have been enjoying very much contributing and helping. I have been learning and sharing a lot. Scott has a lot of experience in the TCK, so really hope to see you there soon on the project. Let me see. Okay, hi Jose, Latin Armada present. I receive a message here. Let me check. Do I need to drop off in order to allow another person to join, or? We have 2 more questions. Let me see. Are the weekly Tuesday 8 to 9 a.m. PDT set via Zoom? Okay, I'm gonna let that answer to the team. Are those calls cut first focus correct? Do they still welcome anyone interested in contributing to the project to step in? Sure. Okay, yeah, I need to drop. Yeah, I am reading here, Kevin. I need to drop. So yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you, community. I'm gonna be around in the chat. I'm gonna.
Let's see. So I need to leave, I guess. Okay. Let's see. I'll rejoin.
Up the slideshow a certain way, and that turns out that only displays part of the screen. So I went back to my old mechanism, and now it's working okay. So let's get going and see how this works out. So looking at the agenda and stuff, I probably should have went first because I'm going to be talking about some of the TCK stuff at a very high level, and then we could have went into more detail, but this will work. I'll just refer back. Cesar and Scott did a great job at explaining a lot of the things that are happening with the TCK, and that definitely is the hot spot that is happening with the whole Jakarta EE9 effort right now. And so what I want to do today is just give an update of where we're at with Jakarta EE9. So I'm not going to go into the detail on the release content. I did that on a previous call, but I do, in case there are people on this call that, you know, this is brand new to them for Jakarta EE9, I do have a pointer here to the overall release plan, and I'm just going to touch on the highlights. And the big thing is in yellow, and Scott and Cesar already touched on this, that the big change for Jakarta EE9 is that we're changing the namespace from JavaX to Jakarta, and that goes through everything. All the specifications, all the APIs, all the TCKs, all of the compatible implementations, everything is affected because of this namespace change. So it's a rippling effect, and to be honest, it's a bigger effort than what we had initially imagined. And so that's part of the reason why we are we're still in the throes of completing Jakarta EE9. The other kind of a major change is that we're going to be requiring Java SE 11 for the compatibility or certification instead of Java SE 8. Now, Java SE 8 will still be an option, so compatible implementations could still certify to, using Java SE 8, but the initial certification needs to be on Java SE 11. So that's kind of a major item that we're finally trying to move away from Java SE 8 and trying to get into the next generation of Java per se. The other thing that we're doing that's a little different with Jakarta E9 is that we are actually removing some features, some specifications from the platform. In the past, the term was pruning, but pruning in the past in Java EE only meant making it optional. And what we are doing now is we are actually removing them from the platform. So these 5 features here, JAX RPC, JAX R, deployment management, and a section of the EJB spec related to distributed interop, all of those are going to be removed from the platform. What it means is that then these items no longer have to be implemented in order to be platform compatible. So this is kind of key for allowing new implementations to become compatible with Jakarta EE9. So the bar has been lowered. There are some additional features that are being added back in because Java SE 11 dropped them, and so we needed to pick them up in order to make our story whole. And so we've got Jakarta activation, which is going to be required, and it's required because Jakarta Mail requires it. So that's going to be a required new addition. The other ones are optional. So the JAX-B, the JAX, the XML web services, the metadata, JWS, and the SOAP with attachments, or SAAJ, it's commonly known as, all of those are going to be new to the platform, but they're going to be optional specifications. And we've also identified the 2.x API group from the EJB spec. That will be marked as optional. And along with all the other web services that we're bringing in from Java SE 11, the enterprise web services, or JSR 109, that will also be marked optional. So I'm going to try to go live here and see if this works. Just a second. Okay. So let's see, I don't, Ivar, can you see the project board? Is that coming up okay?
Yes, it looks fine.
Okay. So this project board, it's easier to walk through this live than to try to use the charts. So this is what we're using to try to track the work for Jakarta EE9. The main item I want to focus on here is the milestone 1 ready. So what we are doing is we are driving towards a milestone delivery in June this month. And what we're trying to do is to get all of the specification projects to that state so that they would have some form of their specification. Hopefully their API is complete, and some form of their TCK and some form of their compatible implementation, at least to a state that it can all be integrated into Glassfish and the platform TCK so that we have something that is demonstratable. Something that potential users and customers could actually download and play with and experiment with. And it would also help with any of the stack products. So any of the stack frameworks or the IDEs or any of the monitoring tools, anything that would build upon, or what used to build upon Java EE, now we would have Jakarta EE with the new namespace and they could start experimenting with it. So that's the goal of the milestone 1 ready. You'll notice we have quite a few features in here that are already to that state, and they're, prepping for this milestone release. So there's quite a few there. What I want to point out, in case people are looking for areas to help out in, I have a more progress column and an almost there column. And these features still require some additional effort in order to get it over to the milestone 1 ready. So if any of these, Jakarta Faces, authentication, security, servlet, if any of these, if you have an interest in them, I would suggest reaching out to those particular projects and see if there's some way that you could help out in order to get all of these projects over to milestone 1 ready. Okay, so that's what I wanted to touch on with the project page. And one of the things that we're doing here for the specification pages. So, oops. Same thing, I want to go back here. On our homepage for Jakarta.ee, there is this box right here called specifications. And this is our location where all the users, this is live right now, everyone can go to this and find all of the specifications, APIs, TCKs, and compatible implementations for all of the specifications that make up Jakarta.ee. So you can see as you page down, there's many, many different pieces that make up the platform within Jakarta.ee. What I want to point out is how we are updating these pages for the milestone. So the platform and web profile, and I'm kind of in charge of those, and those aren't ready yet because we don't have all of the other pieces done. So I'm going to come down here to annotations and show what we are doing. So within annotations, we have this milestone release. So if you would click on that, this has links to all of the items that are being delivered with Jakarta annotations for the milestone release. So you could even come in here, you could click on this. This one's already ready that you can go in and look at the specification for Jakarta annotations. So even though the full milestone for the platform hasn't been released yet, the individual pieces are starting to get put into place for the milestone. So this allows you to go back and forth, to look at, if there's particular areas, servlet, authentication, JSPs, JPA, if any of those that you have an interest in, you can start to look at what these specifications are going to look like for the milestone, look at the current state. You could start reviewing them, using them, providing input via issues or talking on their mailing list. All of this capability is available to interact with the community. So one of the things, I guess I have it highlighted in yellow down here, one of the things that we are really trying to do is to publish and promote all of the activity that we've been doing for all of the different components. So that's a big push as to why we're doing this for all of the individual components. I've mentioned this milestone delivery. We plan to have this ready this month. The current date is June 23rd. So far, it's looking like we're going to be able to make that. Things are falling into place. We're getting more successes and more capability with the TCKs and with Glassfish. But just be aware, this is a milestone delivery. So do not expect 100% passing of the TCKs or 100% compatible implementations. These are going to be partial implementations for a point in time. But the big thing is to be able to get all of the platform and web profile APIs and all of the component APIs out there and available. Most of the specifications will be there, and we can start reviewing those and using them for the stack products and providing input so that we can make this a better product when we finally release. You'll notice that there's multiple compatible implementations specified. Of course, Glassfish, because that's one that will be used for our specification. But there's also others that are being developed, and they should be available as the milestone release becomes available, and as each of the months go on until we actually release the final product. And so the final release, right now, I'm calling it a goal. We're looking at third quarter of 2020. So that would be in the September timeframe. And that's what we're shooting for. And at that time, then everything has to be complete. So between this June release and September release, then we have to get all of the specifications complete, all the APIs, all the TCKs, and Glassfish has to be complete. And along with that, other compatible implementations will shortly follow. And so that's where we're going to be getting the full support, the full announcement of Jakarta EE9. And as Scott and Cesar pointed out, how can you help? There's a lot of ways to get involved, and whether or not maybe working on these specs and TCKs and stuff, maybe that isn't your cup of tea, but maybe you do like to present or write white papers or blogs. There's a lot of different ways to get involved with Jakarta EE without diving in and working on the specific code that's getting delivered. So we look for participation. There's mailing lists. We do have Slack channels that we're available on, and it's a good way to keep in touch. So that was a quick summary, but that's what I've got. And I will take a look at any questions that were posted as soon as I'm done sharing.
So I don't think there were any questions in the regarding this topic, but there are some regarding the platform call. And the platform call is open for everybody. It's in Zoom. It's on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific time. That's 11 Eastern. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes or 8 more minutes. So I'm not sure how the agenda looked like. Let's get rid of this one. I'll invite. Let me see. So I'll invite Neil on stage here. Just a second. There you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great, thanks. Okay, let me go ahead and share quickly, and then we can move on to, how do I do that? Oh, there we are. Okay, share screen. Let's see. Okay. Okay, hopefully everybody can see the slide.
Yes, it looks good.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'll go back one. Hopefully. Okay, so I wanted to come on today to just let everybody know, based on what Kevin shared and the milestone release coming up, wanted to give a bit of insight into the community about why now is the time to start to really dig into the specifications, into the milestone release, and look at how you can start to leverage that to be ready for the final release that's coming in Q3. The community intentionally made Jakarta 9 a namespace only release, and this allows the downstream providers of tooling and implementations to make this change with little impact in terms of other than the namespace change. There isn't any new functionality that they really need to be concerned with. They can make the namespace change and do that starting with the milestone release, as Kevin was mentioning. We have that coming in second quarter. Hopefully, Kevin mentioned the 23rd. We're getting pretty confident that that's going to take place. But we really want to enable tools implementers and vendors in particular to start using that milestone release to move forward. And as I said, now is the time to act. Along with the milestone release, we'll be providing a data sheet that will have a summary of the affected implementations, the components, and and a list of all the specifications that are affected in terms of the name changes. That data sheet will be shared so that you can start to get an idea of how it will impact your own tooling. On the second slide, I really wanted to drive home that point about now being the time to act. As you can see here, we are starting to gather some information about the different versions and when they're going to be available for the tooling and the implementations, and what that will mean to your support and your tooling as you look to migrate to this release. So Apache Tomcat 9 going to be the last on the JavaX environment. Tomcat 10 will be a Jakarta namespace only. Jetty 10, same thing, last one for JavaX, and Jetty 11 will be Jakarta namespace. So, and then we saw a list of implementations that are moving forward. These will also be important to watch. And with the milestone release, there's going to be some betas and other. And as we move forward towards the final release, more coming in terms of support for the Jakarta namespace change. Some of the components that will be affected are also, we're working to gather information about those. It's important to keep an eye on that. And in terms of tooling, we're looking to support the community in terms of the IDEs that are affected, monitoring tools, testing tools, migration tools. All of these should really start to look at the milestone release coming out this month and start to get aligned with the namespace change, so that when we hit the ideally September release of the Jakarta E9 final, we will be able to also promote the tools that are implementing this Jakarta E9 and be able to highlight those along with the compatible implementations as we normally do. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Ivar, and I believe there's some other things to share before we put the call.
Yeah, before you go, there was one question, and that is, can you explain the purpose of the new mailing list, Connect at?
Oh, that may be a question for Tanya, or.
Oh, it could be, yeah. So we'll take it afterwards. So
okay.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay.
And I'll in a minute, I'll invite Tanya on screen. I'll just drop you off. There you go. And I'll go and share this one. We only have like 1 minute left. So what I'll do is to show this one. And while you're doing that, I'll get Tanya on. There you go. So we've had a little bit of issues with the Crowdcast this time, and I apologize that. The purpose of this this call today is an update call. So it's kind of an update to the community, what's going on. It's not as interactive as some would like. And what we've said from this is we want to keep the update call as it is. This is an update to the community. It's not meant for very much interactivity necessarily. But what we want to do is to set up a new call, and we've called it Friends of Jakarta EE call. And the thought of this call is a monthly call, and a suggestion is that it will be the 4th Wednesday of the month. Since this call is the 2nd Wednesday, so it will be 2 weeks apart. I've published an agenda document that is open for everybody to edit. It's available on the Google Drive. It's available in the calendar as well. So this is it's a Zoom invite that is in the calendar. So if you go to the public calendar, you will find that every month there is a Jakarta EE update call on the 2nd Wednesday, and on the 4th one, there is a Friends of the Jakarta EE monthly call. And the thought of this call is it's open source. Whoever is there are the right people. Whatever you decide on this call or do on this call is the right thing. So it's kind of an open space thing. Just go ahead, see how it goes. The document is editable by anyone who has the link. The link is linked from the community calendar. There is also a Zoom invite here. So it's in Zoom. It's an agenda document in Google Drive, and just go with it. I'll join the first call and help with the logistics. If you want to record it, let's do that. If you don't want to record it, then don't. And it's up to those who's there to just do whatever they want. And if we have action items coming out of this call, then let's do it somewhere else. Or it's not a formal capacity in the working group, but it's a kind of a community get-together once a month thing. So I hope you like that, and I hope you join in this call in 2 weeks, June 24th. It's 11 Eastern, exactly the same time as this call. So it's 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, 5 p.m. in Europe. So with that, I think we are 3 minutes overdue. And I'm glad you enjoyed, or hope you enjoyed this, even though we had some problems. And let's see you again next month. And please join the Friends of Jakarta EE Open Space in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.